How a German billionaire lost everything. Imagine being incredibly rich one day, like a billionaire. Well, there was this German guy named Adolf Merkel who was super wealthy, ranking 5th among Germany's richest people. He had a whopping $9.2 billion, making him seem unstoppable. But then, the financial crisis of 2007-2008 hit, causing a lot of economic problems. Unfortunately, Merkel's empire couldn't handle it, and everything fell apart. Join us as we dig into the story of how this German billionaire lost everything, uncovering the twists and turns that led to his surprising downfall. Adolf Merkel was a successful entrepreneur who made his first fortune by founding a large German pharmaceutical company called Phoenix Pharma-Handel. He then diversified into other businesses. In 2007, he had reached the utmost level with a net worth of $12.8 billion, making him the 36th richest man in the world. To grow his business, Merkel borrowed a lot of money, both for his companies and personally. He also made risky investments. Unfortunately, in 2008, the global financial crisis and the following economic downturn hit his companies hard. The empire he had worked on for decades collapsed. By 2009, his net worth plummeted from $12.8 billion to almost nothing. It was a rapid and dramatic fall from success to financial ruin. He sadly jumped in front of a train to stop his misery, since he was unable to accept the loss. We'll discuss how Merkel established his corporate empire in this video, as well as how it all fell apart. Adolf Merkel was born in Dresden, Germany in 1934 into a prosperous family. He took over his grandfather's chemical wholesale company at an early age and transformed it into Phoenix Pharma-Handel, a pharmaceutical distributor. He had remarkable success with the company, and Phoenix expanded to become the leading player in the German market. Using his knowledge of the pharmaceutical sector, he founded Ratiopharm, Germany's first successful generic medication company. His pharmaceutical company made him a millionaire by the late 1990s. He and his wife and their 4 children resided in a mansion in central Germany. Adolf, however, had even higher goals in mind. He intended to expand the scope of his commercial empire into new markets and increase his wealth. In order to do this, he founded VEM Group, an investment firm that dispersed his enormous fortune over a range of companies. VEM's multi-billion-dollar investment in Heidelberg Cement, an international construction materials corporation with its headquarters in Germany, was one of its biggest ventures. This appeared to be a wise investment at first. Cement was in high demand as new real estate projects were being built during the early 2000s. Global real estate bubble. Heidelberg's earnings and sales skyrocketed as a result, and between 2003 and 2007, the company's stock price soared 5 times. Heidelberg paid £8 billion, or around $15 billion, to purchase the British cement producer Hanson plc in order to capitalize even more on the expanding cement market. The merged firm rose to become the world's second largest cement manufacturer. Merkel's business, VEM, took out bank loans to fund the transaction, pledging its own Heidelberg shares as security. VEM was in a highly leveraged situation as a result. Due to its economies of scale, the corporation would benefit greatly if the real estate market kept expanding. But if the market plummeted, VEM may find itself in a situation where it couldn't afford to pay its loans. In 2008, just 1 year after Heidelberg's debt-financed acquisition of Hanson, Lehman Brothers collapsed, triggering the Great Financial Crisis. Housing losses totaled millions of people, and property values plummeted. Cement consumption fell as real estate construction projects came to a near-complete stop. Heidelberg stock fell about 80% between 2008 and 2009 as its earnings and revenue dried up. VEM was in serious trouble since they had taken out a loan secured by its Heidelberg stock. The banks issued him a margin call when the valuation fell. Merkel has only a few months to come up with billions of dollars in cash if he wants to keep VEM solvent. In order to do this, he sold Ratiopharm, his pharmaceutical firm, and his whole Heidelberg shareholding. Nonetheless, these assets' value declined as a result of the financial crisis. They weren't sufficient to meet his margin call. He pledged his personal belongings as collateral to keep VEM solvent. All of his possessions were on the line. He lost most of its financial wealth with Heidelberg, but there were still several hundred million euros in there. Merkel wanted to become a billionaire again, although he already had billions of dollars. He decided to take a final shot at winning back his money and moved all of his remaining chips on the table. The amount of money he was betting was too much for a normal casino to handle, so he transferred to the stock market, which is the biggest casino on earth. Given that equities were his specialty, Merkel began conducting due diligence on German corporations in particular. Merkel came up with a plan to benefit from the identical recession that had first lost him his wealth. 2008 saw a sharp decline in people's disposable income and an increase in unemployment worldwide. Due to banks tightening their lending requirements and customers not having enough money to buy new automobiles, auto sales were falling. After doing a thorough research, he made the decision to short Volkswagen stock. This looked like a sure thing. With all the challenges the car industry was facing, VW's company would undoubtedly collapse and its stock prices would follow suit. But the moment Merkel announced the position, VW stock was up. In what was subsequently dubbed the infinite squeeze, its value increased by 5 times. Volkswagen stock was a favorite among short sellers despite the company's failing fundamentals and persistently high stock price. It came out that Porsche, which was covertly accumulating VW shares in an attempt to eventually purchase the business, was supporting the share price. Porsche startled the financial community in October 2008 when it revealed that it had acquired a 74% share in Volkswagen. The German state of Saxony controlled an extra 20% of the shares, which significantly reduced the company's free float. Upon the announcement, all short sellers hurried to cover their holdings, resulting in a significant short squeeze. As a result, VW's market capitalization increased to $400 million, momentarily overtaking ExxonMobil to take the top spot as the most valuable firm globally. Once more, it is entirely Volkswagen's fault. Unbelievable things are happening here. This morning, the share almost doubled. It hit a high of 1,005 euros, and the automaker increased by 147 euros the day before, keeping the DAX positive even as the rest of Europe saw declines. It is really difficult to determine what is actually happening here. This has to be the worst possible short squeeze. It is indeed possible to envision, and it all stems from Porsche's announcement over the weekend that it presently owned 42.6% of Volkswagen and another 31.5% through options. Porsche therefore indirectly owns about 75%. Lower Saxony, the federal state, holds another 20.2%, and in actuality there is just a negligible amount of free float remaining, roughly 5.5%. And when those two factors combine, especially if everyone is short in share with such a little free float, it may lead to the kind of serious disruptions we're witnessing once more today. Alternatively, as one analyst put it, every single short seller on the planet is attempting to reduce their holdings, and the only way they can achieve this is by making frantic purchases. Thus, it is in between investors. The current surge in the shares is due to covering of short positions rather than any fundamentals, since the price of VW shares doesn't appear to be as strong as one may think, given the amount of money that was bet on it falling. Additionally, this is severely hurting the other DAX members, including the index heavyweights Allianz, Siemens, and EON, since index tracking funds are dumping the other 29 listing businesses in the index in an attempt to overtake Volkswagen. It's actually a major humiliation for the German market. Indeed, they must complete it, sort it out, and find a method for accomplishing this. Merkel was compelled to cover the position at the top when the crush occurred. It's unknown how much he invested, but the deal is said to have cost him hundreds of millions of euros. This one loss cost him almost all of his remaining net worth. By now, he had lost everything at last. A few months later, in January 2009, Merkel had finally had enough. He jumped in front of a train in his hometown, leaving behind his wife and 4 children. Adolf Merkel's story is a depressing and tragic one. Having founded 2 pharmaceutical firms valued at billions of dollars, he was an exceptional investor and businessman. One element unites almost all of the investing catastrophes we report on this channel: overuse of leverage. When the market ultimately turned against Merkel, it was because he had overextended his financial might. Well, folks, this concludes this video. Regarding Adolf Merkel's investments, what are your thoughts? Tell us in the space provided for comments below. And remember to like, subscribe, and share this material if you found it entertaining. And as always, we sincerely appreciate your attention, and we hope to see you in the next video.